Reading from the second book of Kings, we have this great story of Naaman, the Syrian general, who comes down with leprosy. There's so much about boundaries in that story. This is a man who doesn't belong in the land of Israel. He's a Syrian and he's a pagan. And yet, by his servant, who's actually a slave, he learns about the power of the God of Israel. Really, she shouldn't be talking to him at all because she's a slave. There's yet another boundary that's crossed. And Naaman recognizes the wisdom of this slave and does indeed bathe in the Jordan as the prophet Elijah tells him. And then after he's cured, he wishes to bring home baskets of earth from Israel to Syria so that he can worship the God of Israel on the God of Israel's own ground. He doesn't want to cross that boundary. He wants that boundary to be dissolved, if you will, between him and the God of Israel. And in Luke 17, we have the story of Jesus going to Jerusalem and meeting the lepers on the road. And he's moved with pity for them. Now, on the way to Jerusalem, Jesus knows what's going to happen to him. And he's crossing the boundaries of his home turf, Galilee, and he's going down to Jerusalem, which he knows is dangerous territory. He's in the midst of crossing this boundary when he allows lepers to come up and talk to him, which again is another taboo. He should not have allowed that, and yet he does anyway. He sends the lepers to the priest to prove that they're cured, and on the way, on the journey, the lepers realize they're cured. The only one who comes back to say thank you is a Samaritan, who Jesus points out is a foreigner. He doesn't belong there. But he's the one who crosses the boundary and comes back to the Lord and gives him thanks. Jesus notes he's the only one who did. And did you notice in the story too, this leper, the Samaritan, was abandoned by the Jewish lepers who were cured. They left him as soon as they possibly could. They put the boundary back in place. But the cured leper crosses the boundary as Jesus was crossing the boundary to go to Jerusalem. What about the boundaries in your life today? Which ones do you have to cross? Is there someone you're afraid of? A group of people you don't like? Maybe there's a medical procedure you're afraid of doing and finding out something. Maybe there's a growth experience that's hard for you to do. We have to take courage in the example of the Lord who crosses the boundaries. Let's ask him for the grace to do that in our lives too.